I wish I die soon. Not because I hate life, but because I have lived long enough to see it take everything from me. I am 101 years old. 101. People clap for that number. They call it a blessing. They say, "Wow, what a long life." But they don't see where I sleep. They don't smell this blanket. They don't feel this concrete under old bones. I was not always like this. There was a time when my hands were soft, when my dresses were pressed, when my name meant something. My name is Margaret Whitmore. In the 1960s, my husband and I owned properties across Los Angeles, apartment buildings, small shopping centers. We lived in a house in Santa Monica with a staircase that curved like something out of a movie. I had a walk-in closet bigger than this sidewalk space I sit on now. We had dinner parties, real ones, silverware polished, wine poured properly. I wore pearls that rested right here on my collarbone. I remember standing on my balcony at night, looking at the city lights, thinking, this is forever. I was naive. Money feels permanent when it's flowing. But it was never mine. It was his. When I was 62, my husband met a woman 35 years younger than him. I noticed it slowly. He stopped touching my hand, stopped asking about my day, started criticizing small things, my hair, my voice, the way I chewed. One afternoon, he said something that still echoes in my ears. "You're not who I married anymore." 43 years of marriage reduced to that sentence. The divorce was quiet but brutal. Assets were restructured. Lawyers were clever. Documents I had signed years ago came back to haunt me. I walked away with less than people imagine. The house was sold, the furniture auctioned. The pearls, I sold them myself. I told my children not to worry. Mom will manage. I didn't want them to see me shrinking. At first, I rented a small apartment, then a smaller one. Rent kept rising. My savings kept falling. When you're 80, no one hires you. When you're 90, people assume you're already halfway gone. At 97, I had to choose between medication and rent. I chose medication. The eviction notice came on a Tuesday morning. It was written in polite language. Polite words can still make you homeless. My son said he didn't have space. My daughter said her husband wasn't comfortable. They didn't shout. They just distanced. And distance can be colder than cruelty. So here I am, 101 years old, sitting on a Los Angeles sidewalk where strangers step around me like I'm a crack in the pavement. I survived wars, recessions, earthquakes, but I did not survive loneliness. And this is only the beginning of how a woman with everything ended up with nothing. After the eviction, I told myself it was temporary, just until something works out. At 97 years old, you become very good at lying to yourself. I moved into a cheap motel first, the kind where the carpet smells like cigarettes and regret. I paid week by week. Every time I handed over cash, I felt smaller. My son said he was looking into options. My daughter said she'd call back. Calls became texts. Texts became silence. When the motel money ran out, I packed what was left of my life into 2 suitcases. 2. One held clothes. One held photographs. It's strange what you choose when everything must fit into luggage. I left behind china plates that survived 60 years, but I kept a picture of my children at the beach in 1972. In the photo, they're laughing. They're holding my hands. I don't know when they let go. The first night in my car was the hardest. You don't sleep. You calculate where to park, how to stay unseen. I learned which grocery stores didn't tow overnight. I learned which public bathrooms opened early. I learned to wash my face with bottled water and pretend it was normal. But the car didn't last. It broke down on Sunset Boulevard. The repair cost more than the car was worth. I sold it for parts. That was the night I truly became homeless. There is a moment, a quiet, invisible moment, when you realize there is no one coming. No rescue. No surprise phone call. No, "Mom, pack your things. You're coming home." I waited for that call for months. It never came. At 98, I applied for senior housing. The waiting list was 8 years long. 8 years. I remember laughing when they told me. "Do you think I have 8 years?" I asked the woman behind the desk. She didn't know what to say, so I moved to the sidewalk. At first, I tried to keep my appearance together. I brushed my hair. I wiped my shoes. I told myself this was temporary. But the street changes you. You stop caring about how you look when survival becomes the only priority. You guard your blanket like treasure. You hide small bills in your socks. You sleep lightly because footsteps at night can mean danger. The cold is not the worst part. The worst part is invisibility. Young people walk past me glued to their phones. Businessmen step around me like I'm an obstacle. Tourists take pictures of murals behind me, cropping me out. Sometimes someone drops $1 without making eye contact. I used to sign checks larger than that. Once, a woman my daughter's age looked at me and whispered to her friend, "That's so sad." Sad. That word is too small. Do you know what it feels like to outlive your usefulness? At 100, the city gave me a small cupcake from a church group. They sang happy birthday. They said, "You're a miracle." Miracles don't sleep on concrete. I tried calling my son last year. It rang twice. Then voicemail. I didn't leave a message. What do you say? "Hello, this is your 100-year-old mother. I'm still alive, still homeless. Pride is the last thing to die. Sometimes I wonder if they're ashamed of me, or if I remind them of something they don't want to face, that time wins, that beauty fades, that money disappears, that parents grow old. People think homelessness is about addiction or laziness. For some, maybe. For me, it was erosion, divorce, legal games, medical bills, rising rent, distance, silence, not one dramatic explosion, just a slow disappearance. I used to host dinners where 20 people listened when I spoke. Now I talk to traffic, and sometimes to this camera, because at least the camera looks back. I was loved once. I was important once. You're probably wondering, if I wish to die soon, why am I still here? At 101, death doesn't frighten me. What frightens me is disappearing without being seen. For a long time, I thought my life ended the day I stepped onto this sidewalk with my 2 suitcases. I thought everything meaningful was behind me: the house, the dinners, the children running through hallways, the balcony overlooking the ocean. I believed the world had finished with me, but something strange happens when you lose everything. You begin to see clearly. When you are rich, people look at what surrounds you. When you are homeless, people look away from you. Both are illusions. Out here, I learned who I really am, without pearls, without property, without a husband's last name attached to mine. I am not my marriage. I am not my bank account. I am not the shame of my children's silence. I am a woman who survived 101 years. That matters. The first winter on the street, I almost didn't make it. The rain was relentless. My blanket was soaked for days. My joints felt like glass breaking inside me. One night I was shivering so badly I thought, this is it. But a young girl, maybe 22, maybe younger, stopped in front of me. She didn't throw money. She sat down, right here, on the concrete. She asked me my name. No one had asked me my name in months. I told her, Margaret. She said, that's beautiful. She came back the next day with dry socks and soup. And the next week, and the next month. She didn't save me. She didn't take me home. But she reminded me that I was visible. Sometimes survival is not about grand rescues. It's about small reminders that you still exist. You want to know something honest? Yes. I felt anger. At my husband for leaving. At myself for trusting. At my children for choosing comfort over loyalty. I replayed conversations in my head for years. And at 101, you cannot afford heavy things. So I began letting go. Not for them, for me. I stopped waiting for phone calls. I stopped rehearsing speeches I would never give. I stopped asking, why me? Instead, I started observing. I watched the city wake up every morning. The delivery trucks, the joggers, the office workers rushing like time is chasing them. They don't realize how fast it passes. I have watched a century disappear. Trust me, it is faster than you think. If I could speak to my younger self, the woman on the balcony believing it was forever, I would tell her this. Nothing is forever. Not wealth, not beauty, not marriage, not even heartbreak. Everything changes, and if you build your identity only on what can be taken, you will collapse when it is. The sidewalk taught me something my mansion never did. Dignity is internal. You can sleep on marble floors and still be empty. You can sleep on concrete and still carry wisdom. Do I still wish for rest? Sometimes. When the nights are too cold, when my bones ache, when I hear laughter from restaurants I once dined in. But I no longer wish for death out of despair. I wish for peace. There is a difference. If you are watching this from a warm room, call your mother. Forgive someone before time decides for you. Teach your children that love is not conditional on convenience. And if you ever see someone like me on the street, don't just see failure. See a lifetime. See history. See a woman who once danced in silk and now sleeps in shadows. I am not a warning. I am a reminder. Life can lift you higher than you imagined, and it can lower you beyond what you believed possible. But as long as you are breathing, you are still a story. And this right here is mine. If I die soon, at least now, someone finally heard me.